We good?
Sweet. What's
Awesome. Awesome. So for everyone watching at home that just missed that intro, we're going to be talking about how to invest in your self-directed IRA. As always, I am joined by my better half, Cory King.
What's up, y'all?
I'm Justin Myers. So, Cory.
Yep.
How are you, man? What are some wins this month? What's going on with you? You got a little one. Cory's got 3 kids, if you don't know this. He's got a 2-month-old, a 2-year-old, and a 4-year-old.
Yeah, we got a full house now at my
Yes.
place. No, man, things are good for sure. I appreciate you asking. Yeah, things are awesome right now. We're wrapping up on, I said we'll get into some wins, but I'm happy to share mine right now. I am 6 days out from completing my 30-day flip about a house on October 11th. I gave myself a goal to be done with that by November 11th, and we are right on pace and right on budget for that, which is a huge win for me on that one.
Yeah, so now we have 2 counterpoints. We have the don't do this.
Yeah.
We went double the budget,
Yeah,
and it cost
100%.
$100,000 when we thought it'd be 50, and the loan went 11 months when we thought it was 6 months. And hey, this is really easy. You can do this in 30 days.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I've seen both spectrums here.
That's
in
the
last
siren
year.
song to lure you into like, well, if Cory can do it, I can do it. Yeah. No, that one's fantastic. So, what is Grid, Cory?
Yeah, awesome. So Grid is a global real estate investment network that we like to bring here to a hyper-local level throughout communities across the world, right? So Justin and I have been hosting now the Knoxville community since June of 2021. And yeah, we always certainly like to say we are not here to be gurus, to pontificate on high to everybody, right? We just like to say we are real people here doing real deals in real time, sharing our experiences with you, and we trust that you're going to be sharing your experiences with everybody else in the room because that's how we all learn and grow together.
And speaking of learning and growing together, if I can embarrass you really quickly, Michelle is in the room. Michelle Goldenchamp, say hi, wave. She runs with Charles Gorman's Sono Investor Group. If you haven't been, it is our favorite one to go to because we actually have to hang out and network. We're not on stage. And it is, I think they do an amazing job of being hyper-local, of meeting all of the players in South Knoxville, knowing what's going on with the local businesses, the local development. When we look at what's happening with the development in South Knoxville, it looks in some ways very similar to like what happened in the Gulch in Nashville. There are tall and skinnies right now, right in front of Sono Elementary for $700,000. Right? There's four tall and skinnies in there. Like the prices are rapidly changing in addition to all like the luxury student housing that's going on down there.
Yeah, massive.
So great meetup, first Tuesday of every month if you want to get connected. We also have a good meetup coming up next week, which is going to be the poorly named Knoxville's Best Real Estate Investor Meetup. Our friends Jason and Richard run that. I don't know do you know what they're talking about this month, Denise? I don't know. I haven't paid attention. What's that? You get to see Cindy again.
Ooh,
so if you come here and you're like, Cindy was amazing, I have more questions, you're going to see her. And there's another group of investors there. So
That's cool.
Highly recommend networking as much as you can. So what our mission is, right? So Grid nationally is in 30 different communities around the country. They asked me to come and become their director of expansion. Grid has a mission to help 1 million people become financially free. So how do we do that, right? We go on a wealth building journey. We help other people go on a wealth building journey, right? And open those doors to financial freedom because we firmly believe, right, that home ownership and small business ownership and real estate investing are the keys to the American dream. So we're here to connect, learn, right? Why are we doing this, Cory? Why do we run this thing?
Yeah. Well, we certainly like to say that we're all here welcoming all experience levels across the group, right? We're certainly a believer in we're being lifelong learners, always keeping kind of what we call a white belt mentality around everything. No one can know it all, right? We just like to go out and get connected with everybody to bring this collective knowledge together. That's how we really all win and grow.
Yeah, so if you want to know why we do this, we have a real estate team. We've got some great agents on our team in the room, right? And if you're new here, we want to help you. We want you to meet other people just like you, right? Because if we're going to go on a journey of, what's up, buddy? If we're going to go on a journey of real change, right, we need to have a cohort to go along it with us. So we want to make sure everyone has that cohort, whatever level you are. There's other people of your experience level that you can relate to. And you got people above you that you can model. And there's people below you you can help. You know, so say hi if you see them with the blue name tag. Welcome them. Let them know that they found a home. We got a real community here. And we're building a community because if you've more experience than us, we want to invest with you. And we want to be in a high trust network, right? Anybody been coming for a while to Grid? Anybody met some good people here? Say yes, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of good people here in this room to trust, because we think that if I've built this platform, the reason why Cory's able to go run out a flip in 30 days is because we have a gigantic network of vendors that we can trust.
1,000%.
Right? Of people that are going to prioritize us because they know, like, and trust us. So if you're new here, that's why I want you to be here. That's the power of a community, is when you're in a high trust network, it's much easier to build relationships quickly. It's easier to vet strangers, right? It's easier to invest with confidence. I just read Psychology of Money on the plane ride down to Miami for this conference, and it talks so much about how what we do in investing is about our emotional and psychological profile. It has very little to do with, like, rational decisions, right? Finance is the study of money. Investing is the study of behavior with money. So that's why I run this community, right? So we can all benefit together. We can all share wins. We can all learn. That's why we talk about our failures a ton. We want you to learn. So,
That's right. Yep, absolutely.
you want to talk about the fundraiser we got going?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, in the season of giving, certainly we're big believers in giving back, right? And so we're always looking to help promote local charities. We're here helping out Second Harvest Food Bank of East Tennessee, which services how many counties?
17 counties. Second Harvest, we've worked with them for years now, had the privilege of raising, I think, well over 35,000 meals at this point over the different fundraisers that we've done with Second Harvest. So Second Harvest is the local chapter of our local Feeding America affiliate. And so over 95 cents of every dollar you donate to them goes directly towards feeding people. So we try to look for what's the most efficient response. So we did some on-the-ground fundraising. So I don't know if Zach, want to acknowledge Zach. Zach did a lot of work out there. If you haven't met Zach, you should. You know, he was, I was really proud of all the work you were doing out there, helping people in East Tennessee that weren't getting helped. Michelle raised a bunch of funds. She's got a really cool truck. You can move with her. It's all wrapped. She loaded that up, and she was running supplies. And then over time, we were like, what can we do more at scale? And this is something, so if you feel moved to donate at scale, these people need food. They need water, and Second Harvest is a tremendously efficient organization. We're going to have a couple events coming in December to support them as well.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Win time.
Who's got
some wins?
Is Travis in the room or are you outside? Yeah, Zach.
I just bought an equipment trailer for about a third of MSRP.
Let's go. How many are you up to now? You got
How many trailers?
Yes, sir.
4 trailers, 1 piece of equipment.
How long ago did you start this business?
October 2021.
I remember when you had started it, and when did you get the first wrapped trailer where it was like very official? Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. So it's been very cool to watch this journey and see Zach do this, because this is a side hustle when you started it, right?
It still is.
Yeah, and so that's been incredible, right? Small business ownership, right? Awesome. If you haven't used Zach, give him a call.
Give him a shout,
right?
for sure.
For dump trailers. Who else has a win? Travis had a win. Steven, what's up?
Hunter, Gregory, and I have our second flip together. We met at Grid Network.
Yes.
Second flip on the market. You can pick up the flyer here.
No, I love it. I love it.
Oh, okay.
All right.
That's cool. Congrats, guys. That's
I
awesome.
love it.
Wow,
Let's
very
go,
cool.
let's
Yeah,
go.
good
So,
stuff,
yeah.
man. Very cool.
Hunter, Steven, Greg, some stalwarts. Greg's spoken up here before about creative financing and lending money being the bank. So, and then where is Travis? Travis, Nathan was telling me that you had a win. He was bragging to me about this win you just had on this deal. There's so many deals.
So
I
many.
can't keep up.
A young couple out of California buy their first home ever in the U.S.
Wow.
As a long-term rental in South Knoxville.
I love it.
Very
and then
cool.
I think, what was it, that Holly was able to do something creative and get the financing fixed? Is that what the win was? Through the network? Yeah. So I told someone earlier that walked in the door, one of my favorite things about Nathan is Nathan tells me about more loan products that he doesn't have than anyone I've ever met in my life. So if you need a referral, okay. So Apparently Nathan's not that great, Batman.
I want to
Quinn got the jump on
I want
you.
to double dip on my win there, just in the sense of I was able to source, find the rehabbers, the contractors to do the work, help with selections. Shout out to Carolyn Huskins there, because I hate picking selections. I'm not the one you really want to go to for the design portion of it. I like the art of putting the deal together, managing the project all the way through. Somebody else can come tell me what looks pretty in a home, right? So thank you so much for helping me pick out those selections, because we're very excited to get this thing on the market here next week.
Yeah, if you haven't met Carolyn, great resource. So who is, just to get a sense of the room, who's working on their first deal right now? Laura? Yes. Okay. I love it. And who's here because they want to acquire their first deal? I love it. All right. Cool. Well, you're in the right place. Give yourself a hand. Less than 10% of the population of the United States invests in real estate, right? We're the average of the 5 people we surround ourselves with. So you're in the right place. There are lots of tools and resources here, and we're going to talk about one tonight that I think a lot of people don't tap, and it's a great way to find some capital amongst people that you know. Cory, who are we?
Right.
This is not my beautiful house. This
Yeah,
is not
for
my
real.
beautiful wife.
No, my name is Cory King. I'm an agent. I'm an investor here in Knoxville. We moved to this area right about 6 years ago. My background was in restaurants and hospitality, and kind of moving here, I went on this entrepreneurial journey of real estate sales. I did some investing back in Florida, but mostly kind of flipping lots from auctions and just kind of funky stuff like that. But just through that journey, been able to amass a nice little portfolio. We've been able to kind of retire the wife from through a passive income, which has been really cool. And
When'd you buy your first property?
2019.
2019. That was the primary, right?
Yeah, the primary residence.
And then turn that into
Turn that
the
into a
move-up
rental.
special.
and
Turn
then
that into a
just
rental.
kept kind of like rinse, repeating, finding deals, partners, joint ventures, et cetera. That's just allowed us to grow and scale our portfolio to where, we were able to let her step away from work and just kind of be the stay-at-home mom with the babies, which has been amazingly beautiful thing. And it's awesome. Super grateful for it.
So we overestimate what we can do in 1 year. We underestimate what we can do in 5 years.
Truly.
Right? I love leading this with Cory because I've gotten to just watch from the sidelines. At first, we were both agents together, and then we started working together. He came over to a team I was running. And just to see that journey, in 5 years, you can build enough passive income to replace your, to offset your bills. You can build a real estate sales business, which we've built, one that's functional and profitable and has systems and processes, right? And Sprout and Cory's done like 30-something deals this year with the new baby. So
It's been good.
and I say that to say, like, it's just a lot of, I know some people are new in here and want to get into real estate, totally possible if you're willing to put in the work. Like, we can show you exactly, these are the YouTube people we watched, these are the scripts, these are the people we got into relationship with to learn it. So if you want to do it, if you put in the time,
Can be done.
It's a very repeatable model. Yeah. I'm Justin Myers. So I have been in and around real estate for 19 years. I started back in 2005 at 23 when I had a lot less. Actually, I couldn't grow a beard then, so there's no gray in the beard. I couldn't do that until I was 30. Started doing, I was a mortgage broker. And then along the years, I've gotten to see every facet of this game, gotten to participate in commercial and property management and commercial property management and auctions and residential and on the operations side of real estate sales businesses and new construction businesses and been a roofer. So I am really passionate about connecting. I think it's my superpower. I've gotten to find something that I get compensated to do, that I love to do, that feels like a vocation. And I hope everyone else gets to do the same as well. Like the Zig Ziglar quote is true. You can get everything you want if you help others to get what they want. So if you have something you're looking to do tonight, please ask us, let us know. We would love to make a warm introduction and solve a problem for you. Very, very much so. And you can connect with us. All of our information is on there. Tag us at Grid Knoxville because we got some giveaways, right? So, Travis, can you watch the Instagram? So we're giving away some swag. What do we got tonight, Cory? You got books, you got shirts.
We got some books. We've got some shirts to give away tonight. So yes,
Sweet.
please.
So we'll give those away at the end. make a post. Tell people what you're doing. Like the best thing you could do if you want to buy real estate assets is tell people that you are buying real estate assets. I see people nodding, but like that is the difference between you and massively wealthy people is they tell people they want to buy real estate assets. It's the difference between me and the conference I just got back on of this guy that's doing 911 deals a year and buying apartments is like, what would happen if you went on your social every single day and talked about real estate investing?
Yep.
Things will start to change. So, who in the room? You want to quiz him, Cory?
Yeah, I do really quick, right? So we developed out this color system. As you can see, you all got different kind of name tags in there, right? So who's buying deals? Every hand would be up on this one, right? Absolutely. Who's got money to lend, right? So those who are looking for capital, who's got the money? So look
Okay.
around. If you're looking for money, those are the people you want to go talk to because they're the ones who have the money, right? Vendors, contractors in the room, raise your hands. Awesome. So there you go. So there, if you've got a service business that you operate, those are the people that you want to go talk with. And then, yeah, we asked who's new.
Yeah, who is new?
Who is new? Like, yeah, show of new hands.
Awesome,
Very
awesome.
cool.
Welcome,
Very
welcome,
cool. Welcome.
Glad
Yeah,
you're here.
thanks for coming out.
Glad you're here. Flint, can I borrow you for a second? Want to come up here real fast? Cool. So you may not, I don't know if everyone's met Flint before. Flint is one of the principles of approach lending. It's one of our sponsors. And if you're not using private money, now you've got a resource for private money. Flint, want to tell them about you real fast?
Sure. My brother, Chris Davis, who many of you probably have seen here, own Approach Lending. We lend money on behalf of a local family office and primarily to fix and flippers, but also small commercial balance loans as well. And we love helping, frankly, new people that are coming into this business. So we have very low credit requirements. We really focus on the asset. And again, we love working with people that are, first-time flippers. Also like experienced people as well, of course. But if any of you are looking for money or are, afraid to ask questions, don't be. There are no dumb questions. I'll be here this evening and happy to answer any questions you might have.
Yeah. Don't let capital or resources be the reason why you're not taking a step. Everything you need to do is in the room tonight. Thank you so much and appreciate your
Flint.
support. Oh, it's weird being on this side, Cory.
I know.
You want to change
Get
back?
back on that side of the stage, yeah.
That's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. Awesome. If you are new here and we haven't gotten a chance to personally say hi to you, please don't run off. We want to meet each and every one of you.
That's right.
And welcome you to the family. Glad you're here. So,
Yeah.
giveaways. You want to run these at the end?
Yeah, we can. Really, just reach out, tag us on Facebook, on Instagram, use the hashtag Grid Knoxville. We'll be announcing some winners here at the end. We'll be doing some giveaways.
Yeah, we'll run them all at the end because we're going to get into it. So, don't sue me, bro. All right? Investing is not a sure proposition. You shouldn't invest money that you can't afford to lose. Trust but verify everything that Cory and I and our guest speaker shares tonight with other professionals. And the state of Tennessee wants you to know that I am not an appraiser, an adjuster. I am not an insurance adjuster. I am not a licensed tax professional. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a home inspector, right? We're really only experts on the marketing and sale of properties.
That's right.
So if you're here,
You're on
Dalton
camera.
is taking your photograph. I'm going to take a picture of everyone here in a second. So just know it's your beautiful face will be tagged. If you're in the witness protection program, let me know on the side.
Yeah, we'll
All
take
right.
you out for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cory, what is a self-directed IRA?
That's right. Cool. So self-directed IRA is an alternative account that you can utilize to go out and buy real estate investments. This is a facet of your retirement funding.
Okay.
Let's dive a little bit deeper, right?
Yeah. So walk me through more of that. So what I gathered is it's an investment account that
That's
I
right.
can use to retire, but there's something about the self-directed part I think that's probably critical.
Yeah, that's right. So
Yeah.
right, that self-directed part is the biggest facet of that. So unlike most other traditional IRA or investment individual retirement accounts that are typically held on to by other investment companies or making investments on your behalf and are typically tied then to the stock market, this is an alternative that you can utilize to make a broader selection of investment options that, again, you're self-selecting where all of this is going to.
Like real estate.
Like real
Which is
estate.
why we're here to talk about this today, right?
That's right.
So keep in mind that we have a typo on here. Keep in mind that you can invest your IRA money, right, into alternative investments. So you can do that real estate, you can invest in notes, you can invest in businesses, stocks, bonds, but you're going to need a qualified self-directed IRA custodian. And Cindy's going to talk to us if we got some more questions about what that is, right? There's got to be a third party involved here.
Yeah. Yeah, typically speaking, you're looking for a neutral third party in there. That's considered a custodian, right? Somebody that's going to help look out for this on your behalf in there. But we're going to walk through a couple steps of this, right? So number one, open and fund said self-directed IRA. Find a property that you're going to go ahead and purchase. Direct your custodian to go ahead and fund that investment. So again, you're not the one necessarily doing it, but you can give the direction behind it. But you're giving them the specifics of the property, deal, address, funding, how you want this to go, how much, where to send the funds to, and the custodian will be the one to provide you with those forms and actually make that investment on your behalf from that point. Now you can choose to fund the entire purchase or just a portion of it. A little caveat
Yes.
to it there, right? So there is something out there what's called a checkbook IRA.
What is a checkbook IRA, Cory?
Good question, Justin. I appreciate you asking. So a checkbook IRA is just that. You can remove a layer of oversight there where it's just you have a direct line to it, and it's just that. It's essentially like your checkbook that you can write. So it removes that layer of oversight in your funds, so this can lead if you need to move some cash quicker, if you're trying to make a faster decision to move on something.
So who's got a checkbook IRA in the room here? Who's got a retirement account in the room? Okay. Who's happy with the returns they're getting from their retirement account? So a couple people have.
Don't be-
some
yeah,
good-
don't be
so, yeah,
shy.
no, if you're awesome. Yeah. Rob, what's yours invested in where you're happy? Is it like an index fund or what's? Okay, cool. Awesome.
Strong.
Wow, that's amazing. So Rob, if you want Rob's got an index fund that's crushing the market right now, right? It's buying. An index fund means if you don't own stocks, don't know anything about stocks, I'm not a stock guy, right? An index fund is buying an index like NASDAQ or something that represents the entirety of the stock market. So you're just investing in the economy as a whole, right? And so it's a real safe play. It's one of the ones people talk about as doing one of those. The danger, right, with the checkbook IRA is now I'm responsible for all of the regulatory, right, responsibilities of this.
That's right. That's right. So you're on the hook for making sure that all of that money moves in the way that it's supposed to. We're actually going to get right into the kind of what are some of those rules behind all this?
Yes.
What are kind of the do's and don'ts of this?
We got about 5 more slides. We're going to bring a guest speaker up. We're going to ask questions. We're going to go deep on all this stuff. We just want to lay out some basic territory. But this can be useful for, let's say you're doing some private lending. You're funding some, maybe you're funding someone else's ventures, like a checkbook IRA might be a good option for someone like that, where they can move a little quicker than dealing with a custodian. But downside is you can run into some more complications because you don't have the custodian to help.
You're on the hook for it, right?
Yes.
The fourth step in that is just managing the investment in your account. And so money from the expenses and everything must flow to and from that account. So it's not something that you're able to skim off of. It just purely all has to move through there as you're funding your investment deals.
So to be clear, what we're looking at is if, let's say I use the self-directed IRA to fund a portion of an investment, right? Because I've got some capital, but I also have some money in my self-directed IRA. Cindy and I were talking about that. It's just sitting there. I'm not using it for anything. So I'm going to use it for a portion of this. If that is 40% of the investment that I'm making, then I need to make sure that 40% of the returns are going back into that self-directed IRA. Does that make sense? Like it's a proportional return. You got to track that.
So
There are some rules to follow, right?
that's right. Pretty straightforward, not overly complicated to go into it, so let's just kind of dive into it. So the real estate in your IRA must be purely for investment purposes. All expenses for the property must be paid through your IRA, not by you directly.
Can we go back to that first one?
Yeah, absolutely.
So investment purposes, right? People ask a lot of questions, which are basically like, how do I get around these regulations? Those are not good questions to ask in front of 90 people when it's being recorded. If you want that kind of advice, I don't know, find someone on the side. But like, we're not going to answer those questions, and I don't recommend that you do it because the purpose of doing this is not to get rich; it's to build wealth. I've lived through that last recession, I saw a lot of people get rich, and then I watched guys that were making, insane amounts of money end up bar backing at restaurants, and their wife left them and they lost the G-Wagon when the tides turned, right back in the mortgage brokers. Like, I wouldn't recommend you skimp those. So when purely for investment purposes, it's not a vacation home, it's not a primary residence, right? It's not, it is an investment property, and it's one that you want to hold long-term. Like a really great deal that you want to hold forever, that is a great candidate to buy inside your IRA because it's going to protect it from taxes. Yep.
That's right. Yep. So you can't use any furniture that you already own in your IRA, which is pretty interesting one there, right? Any income generated from your real estate held in your self-directed IRA must be paid to and returned to that IRA, not you. So again, all of this has to live outside separate. This is a purely
So I don't get to
investment
spend this
vehicle.
money?
You do not get to spend this money.
Yeah, right. This is a retirement account, so you're going to get great returns, but they're going to fund your retirement. This is not a good play if we need to generate active income, right? We've talked before about what's my cash machine and what's my wealth machine. Cash machine is active income, wholesaling, fixing and flipping, selling real estate, right? Spec builds, private lending. My wealth machine is my long-term buy and holds, and this is a wealth machine play.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
Yep. And then you just cannot use the self-directed IRA to purchase property from yourself or a family member, which I think is a big one there.
Yeah, and so conversely, I can't sell property to the IRA. What they're looking for is like an arm's length transaction, right? So you cannot personally conduct repairs on the property. So it's got to make sense in cash flow using a qualified third party. We've got some great property managers in the group. Kristen Wallace and Jacob Lay are some sponsors here. They manage over 1,000 units here in Knoxville. I've been working with Kristen for over a decade. So all that needs to be done by a property manager.
That's right. Yep. And lastly, just no personal benefit can be derived from the assets in the IRA. So if your IRA owns the vacation property, say, right, you go out and buy a cabin with it, you don't get to stay in the cabin. You don't get to enjoy it in that capacity. It's purely separately as its own separate investment.
I got a question for Cindy on that one.
For sure.
So this is fascinating, right? You can lend money or partner with other people, investors, as long as you're not disqualified. And the interesting thing about self-directed IRA accounts is you can set these up for your children as well, and they can invest alongside you. So I have friends that do this. They have their children are on their payroll. That's another great tax mitigation strategy, right? And then they're paying their children into a self-directed IRA, and then their children are investing alongside them in deals, and that money's going right back in to fund their retirement account. So disqualified persons or qualified persons. This sounds like a dystopian movie. Who's someone that's disqualified?
Sure, yeah.
You didn't pass your Chinese social credit score.
No, definitely
Yeah.
not. So who would be disqualified in these kind of situations? So you'd be looking at direct relatives, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and their spouses. You and your spouse. Again, remember, you can't like sell your own property to yourself or to your IRA. Children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and their spouses, and then fiduciaries and plan service providers.
Right, which we're gonna ask Cindy for some qualification on that last one. So I'm gonna wait till she gets up here. We're gonna run through this with her. Who is qualified?
Everybody else.
Yes. So you've got lots of people in this room that are qualified. Again, why do I come to a community? Because I watch people and I see, and I was like, man, that guy's Will. In addition to being very, very good looking, he's also doing well with his investments. I wonder if I could throw some money in there. Will's looking nervous now. So, right.
You can. Answer's yes.
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 Right? Yeah. So I can invest alongside other people. I can lend them money, and some of these amounts can make a lot of sense. Where's Steven? Steven, are you around? Well, I'll get him up here later. He's got a good story. We got him started with a self-directed IRA. That's cool.
That's right. So, yep, if you want to lend money and invest in a real estate project, you can lend the developer money from your self-directed IRA as long as you set up your self-directed IRA and choose your qualified custodian in that.
Yes.
You can raise cash from other people that have self-directed IRAs to help fund your deals, which is actually kind of goes into
Yeah. And
I don't
so
know where you went.
I got to, well, we'll come back to this. So I was just down in Miami. I was at a real estate conference, and one of the guys that came in there was Greg Hurling, I think his last name is. He runs Horizon Trust, which is $1 billion fund. And he got up there, and I had never heard anyone do this before, but it made so much sense to me. He asked everyone, hey, who in the room has, a retirement account? Like, who's happy with the returns you're getting on there? Would you like to get more out of your retirement account? And he said he had that, and he'd ask that question or variations of that hook again and again in rooms all around the country. He comes and speaks about this thing. That's how I was like generating lead flow for this, where people that are sitting in a Roth or a 401k, or they're not really doing anything with it. It's, hey, would you like to get better returns? And he's just capital raising. It was genius, like all over the country. And I was like, that makes so much sense, right? Because the conversation isn't like, hey, do you want to invest in real estate? Maybe you don't. But do you want to get a better return on your retirement account? Now there's a whole lot of other people that are suddenly paying attention to that conversation. So the reason we wanted to teach this topic tonight is, if you have a retirement account, you can do this, or this is something, we've talked about this again. If you are an investor and you're doing this well, you should be letting the people that you love and care about know this, because why would you not want them to make money as well? So that's an opportunity there where they can come in and invest alongside you using their self-directed IRA if you've got deals that make some sense. So
Yeah, it's just that. Lots of possibilities out there. Knowing how to use this tool can really add rocket fuel when it comes to funding on to your investment or your retirement goals.
yes, so we're going to reset this. We're going to bring
Quick little set
Cindy up
change.
here. I know, while I'm doing this, who's got questions? Yeah? I'm going to run this. Who's got questions? Eric, what's your, I may wait till Cindy gets up here. I'm vamping, but what's your question, Eric?
So I'm assuming then that we're not allowed to become a tenant in our own rental property that's owned by the IRA?
You're saying you're probably going to become a tenant in a...
Yeah.
That's a good question. My direct answer is based off the regulations, I understand them, no. Cindy may have some sort of an answer that's slightly different than that. But you're asked, can I become a tenant in a property that's owned by my IRA? Because I had the same sort of question. I was like, well, can I rent out? There you go. No, I didn't think so. My question was going to be, hey, can I rent out, can I rent out my Airbnb if I pay market rate? Yeah. So no, that's real.
Why? Because you as the IRA owner, or like your mother, your child.
Here, Cindy, go up, sit on stage. There you go.
Middle. You as the IRA owner.
Cindy, who are you?
I am
You gotta talk into the mic.
I'm not used to being on TV. I'm a real estate investor in Knoxville, and recently retired from banking. And my partner Brenda and I also offer educational classes on how to use your IRA for investing.
Yeah. So if you haven't met Cindy, I'm gonna turn this off. Cool. If you haven't met Cindy, we wanted to have her here because she's just a lovely human being. She's really, really a wonderful person. It's been very exciting. She just retired recently to become a full-time investor. So that's just always inspiring to see some people that are actually living out the dream, right? Of like, I can get rid of the 9 to 5 and I'm not going to the bank and doing taxes for the bank every day. And she's been just a great resource into some of these different strategies. So the question that we asked, and I appreciate you asking a great question, Eric, was, hey, can I become a tenant in a rental property that my self-funded IRA owns? And why not? So.
No, because you as the IRA owner cannot derive any benefit from any of the assets that you have. Because all of the benefit has to be from non-disqualified person, from qualified people.
Mm-hmm. And you would count as your own family member, right? You'd count as a beneficiary of that.
Yes, that's correct. You will receive your benefit when you take your distributions at the normal retirement age. That's how it's set up.
Cory, do you want to go back to that slide on qualified and disqualified? And then can you explain, I don't know if anyone else had a question about this. I understand, everyone understands the family part. That seems pretty straightforward, right? What about the fiduciaries or other representatives? What is that category of people that you can't lend to?
So the fiduciaries would be your custodian would be a fiduciary, and the custodian of the IRA, and then also your property manager. Now, you can have a property manager. They are not a disqualified person for that function. But the lines can get blurred when you go, like the property manager's son might own a mowing company. And so then you start getting into some gray and murky waters.
And the question as always is, how am I gonna, everything that I do, how am I gonna justify this to an IRS auditor, right? Is the lens that we're looking at for.
Exactly.
Same as when we talked about 1031s or other things, right? Like documenting intent, having clear communications, and making sure that your communications in writing are written with the understanding that you maybe have to provide those to other people is something to pay attention to. If you're an agent in the room, what I was told when I was very young, keep this in mind, is that all of my written documentation, I should think about what it's going to look like when it's up, projected on a screen in front of a hostile jury, because that's what happens when you get sued. And if you haven't gotten sued yet, you haven't been around long enough, because it's a question of when, not if. Right? Do you have some questions, Cory?
I do, actually, yeah, real quick. Cindy, this is a little bit more personal. So just like what inspired you to transition from financial services and banking into this real estate investing side?
I think I had wanted to do real estate in the back of my mind for many years, and just never really pulled the trigger. Good life, raising a family and doing good things. And then when my husband and I sold our house, we had quite a gain on there, and it's like, wow, now we can do it. And so we bought our first 2 furnished rentals, did a big renovation on one, the other was not so hard, and just started from there. And then once it starts, you just keep doing more and more.
You just get hooked on it, right?
Yeah.
At that point, right? That's cool. I'd be curious too, just when is the right time for an investor to say go down this path of a self-directed IRA?
Today.
Perfect.
Yes. So, there's different kinds of IRAs that you can have. You can have Roths, you can have the regular 401ks, you can have simples. There's different investment vehicles available to everyone. So just to start funding them now, because you have limits to how much you can fund every year. I think the Roth, I don't have my numbers in front of me, the Roth is not very much. It's like $6,500, $7,000 something a year. 7,000. And those can be limited based on your modified adjusted gross income. So when you're at a lower income level, you can contribute more. And and if you have a 401k, maybe from an old employer that is hanging out somewhere, just start thinking about it. Is this a good avenue for me? Just start reading about it and listening to podcasts and learning and seeing if that is a good choice for you.
What if I had nothing? No type of IRA set. Is there any one particular, say you mentioned, right, your Roth, there's self-directed IRA, there's simple. Is there any one particular that would be like, this is the first lever that I'm going to pull?
For a younger person, I would choose Roth, because the what you earn in your Roth grows tax-free over time. So y'all know about the compound effect. If you have $50,000 in 1 year, and 50 years later, how much is that $50,000 going to be? And you've earned all that tax-free. You get that with no tax. So that's how I would start if I was younger. If you're not as young, then either one is fine.
And has anybody ever seen a chart of Warren Buffett's wealth over time? Right? The reason why Warren Buffett is so fantastically, absurdly wealthy is all compound interest. If Warren Buffett doesn't start when he's like a teenager and doesn't live to how long he is, you have not heard of Warren Buffett. He is not worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Go Google it tonight, look at it. It is so fascinating of just like the power of compound interest over time. And that's why we talk about like tax mitigation strategies and tax avoidance strategies are if you're able to compound 100% of your returns again and again, it makes massive differences. Maybe it'd be good for us to we can put a video if you guys, should we put that in the Facebook group? Just read this if I drop some posts in there and like break these numbers down so we're not doing it all here. But the difference is massive. So everything that we're talking about, these tax avoidance strategies, our retirement strategies it's like that's how you actually retire, because like saving your way to retirement is like financially impossible. I'll share a graph that illustrates it very well.
Yeah, kind of one of my next ones. There's, say I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna do a self-directed IRA. Is there any maybe real estate investment type that you feel works best, like residential, commercial? Should I go fund partnering with somebody in there? Like, what would be kind of the best one what would be the best investment to work inside of?
Go with what you know the best. If you are working at a self-storage facility, you're a manager at a self-storage facility, maybe you should buy one through your IRA. You can buy businesses, you can buy single family. One strategy that I would probably suggest is, in order to stay in compliance with all of the disqualified rules and the prohibited transactions, try to be as passive as you can. So if you're wanting to buy a cabin in the mountains and you think you might be tempted to stay there, maybe that's not the best choice for you. But maybe you could buy a cabin in upstate New York where you're never going to go. Or you could invest with Cory on his next flip.
Go for it.
Or you could buy an apartment building that somebody is running it. You have a property manager. You have no earthly need to go there and do anything. So that would be a way to be completely passive and stay away from prohibited transactions.
So Dalton, Robbie's got a question over here right up front. So what's your question, Robbie?
Yeah, so you talked about funding, and there's probably a lot of people in the room thinking about the different types of IRAs that they have. Traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs, they've got 401ks they've left at an old job. When you go to initially fund, obviously you could roll over funds no matter how much you had in there to fund one. But if you're just starting out, what's the contribution limit that you could put in there annually? And how is that treated taxable? Is it like a traditional IRA? Like if I put 20 grand in there, am I limited?
So the limits for Roth and the regular IRA are the same in a self-directed account as they are for any other account, like at Charles Schwab or Edward Jones. It's the same limits. There's no difference in limits.
So to clarify that, if I'm just going to open a SIDRA, I can only put $7,000 in there for the first year.
For Roth, yeah.
And then that money at retirement is taxable income.
It is not taxable income for a
So
Roth.
it's treated like a Roth.
Yeah, but
I'm talking about a self-directed IRA.
Yeah,
I'm
it's-
funding my real estate investments with a self-directed IRA. When I get to retirement and I'm cashing this deal in, I'm bringing that money home, selling assets or whatever. I'm taking distributions, which is my next question. Is that money taxable as income at that point?
so whatever, if you have a Roth, it is taxed the same way at Charles Schwab as it is in a self-directed IRA. It's the same. There's no change in characteristics.
So this is tax-free, just like as if I was taking distributions from my mutual funds in my Roth.
The tax treatment is the same for a Roth. When you take distributions, when it's time for you to take them, there's no tax on you as a person at that time.
Okay. So the money growing, my real estate investment portfolio is growing inside this self-directed IRA. And when I start taking distributions on it, that is tax-free income.
That's tax-free. So if you have a $100,000 Roth and you are able to buy a single-family home, I don't have an example worked out, just work with me.
Yeah.
So you have a single-family home for $100,000 that you rent out over 30 years, and you have $30,000 of income each year on that asset. That income stays in there, and when you pull it out, it's not taxed.
Okay. Is the distribution period the same? Like, I can't touch it till I'm 59 and a half, just
The
like as if
same.
I'm.
Same characteristics.
Can I ask a clarifying question? It sounds like that the difference that we're talking about here is I could get an IRA through Charles Schwab, through another person who essentially is acting as the custodian there, or I could do a self-directed IRA that gives me more control over my assets, right? But I could do that with a Roth. I could do that with a simple. Like, it's really, we're talking about the direction part. That's what makes a self-directed IRA different than a non-self-directed IRA?
It's the difference is who is the custodian, and you are in charge of directing your assets.
I understand that element. So as someone that has a rollover account from corporate jobs that I'll never go back to,
Right.
and then a Roth IRA where I started out as a young investor understanding the benefits of tax-free money at retirement, I have both. So if I decide to take both of these mutual funds that I feel are being lazy, I'd love to hear where you're getting 40%, because I'll do that.
Me too.
But if I take both of these accounts and I fund a self-directed IRA, I'm going to take penalties on one of them.
No, you don't. You can keep the same tax characteristics. See, that's what I thought too at the very beginning, because that's why it took me a while to actually move on this strategy. I had a 401k from an old job, and I wanted to roll it over into the self-directed. I thought that I was going to have to pay taxes and penalties on that. That's not true. You retain the characteristic. If it's a 401k today at your old job, and you move it over to your self-directed, it's still a 401k. The tax characteristics don't change.
Yeah, I think we're talking about, is this working? I think we're talking about apples and oranges here, because I think, correct me because you did this for a living, that needs to be two different conversations. The advantages of self-directed are, instead of Fidelity, instead of Schwab telling you this is what you can and can't do with your money, self-directed, we have a lot more autonomy, a lot more flexibility. That conversation is separate. Now, there's another conversation saying, okay, if you're taking the funds and the funds that you're moving over to a self-directed IRA are in a Roth, then the tax ramifications, the way that's handled, remain the same, but you have more flexibility with how you invest it.
Yes.
If you bring in a Roth account to self-directed, you can invest with a lot more flexibility.
But it's treated like
Taxes
a Roth.
doesn't change. If you bring in the traditional to self-directed, you can invest with more flexibility. Taxes don't change, but the taxes between traditional and between a Roth are very different.
Yeah, traditional IRA, I'm going to be taxed at retirement
Yeah.
as income.
So
Right.
the taxes ramifications don't change. It's the flexibility of investing
So
that
where I
does.
want a clarification is, I'm going to take a penalty on a traditional IRA to roll it. I'd take the penalty, move it into the Roth account, the traditional IRA, or the Roth SIDRA that I'd set up, and I'd get those characteristics on that money because it's all already taxed money.
I don't think that you're going to pay a penalty if you're doing a direct rollover.
With two separate types of accounts, I have to pay a penalty on one of
If,
them.
here's what I'm gonna, let's,
Sorry.
no, let's touch
That's
this
all right.
after, because who doesn't know what a Roth IRA is in here? Does anyone not? So every 22-year-old in here knows what a Roth IRA is. Amazing. Who doesn't want to raise their hand, okay? Thank you so much, like, right? Let's talk about some basics. Like, just walk me through some basics on the IRA. Yeah, let's just break
Okay.
this all the way back down. Those are great questions, and I
Yeah.
appreciate those.
And it's-
And we're gonna come back to it, but I think, yeah, but I just don't want to lose. I've learned, like, when we're talking SIDRA, people are like, "What's a SIDRA?" It's like a self-directed IRA. Like, it's just, we all want to use jargon when it's like, and let's break this down very, very simply. Like, what is an individual retirement account? Like, why is it set up? What does it accomplish?
So do you want to go back to 1972?
I do want to go back to 1972. KRS One said, "You must learn."
Okay, I think ERISA, the Employee Retirement Income Security Act, I believe it was 1972, could have been 74. It was enacted in response.
You got to put it right here. Get uncomfortably close. Let it tickle your chin.
In response to some failed pensions that had happened in that time period, the government enacted ERISA to give the citizens of the United States a more secure way to fund their retirement. So at that time, the in IRAs were established and 401ks. So, but prior to that, employers had given their employees pensions, which are paid after you retire, a certain amount. But now they're giving their employees the option to invest in a 401k that the company would administer. So that's a great way for everybody to save money for their retirement. A lot of people aren't sophisticated investors. They don't know how to do it. So that's is an option given to them. So the 401k, you have limits of how much you can contribute every year. They change every year. They go up. And I think they're about $23,000 right now. So if you have $100,000 of salary and you have $23,000 that you withdraw for your 40, or that you hold back to put in your 401k, then you're only taxed on $77,000 of income. So you have a tax deferral on the front end.
So right, we're talking about ordinary income that shows up on your W-2 or your W-9, right? So I can, or my 1099, it's offsetting that income, so I'm not paying taxes. I'm able to contribute that before I pay taxes.
And so the trade-off is when you get retirement age, you start taking distributions from your 401k, you have to pay taxes on it. Are you going to be in a higher tax bracket when you retire than you are when you contribute? I don't know. But so a Roth is another investment vehicle that the IRS controls how much you can put in every year. It's a smaller amount, but it doesn't offset your income for tax purposes. So it's after-tax income that you pay for your Roth. So when you get retirement age, when you take out distributions from your Roth, you don't have to pay taxes, personal taxes, because you already paid taxes on the money that you put in there. That's like your normal savings account now. Like when you get your paycheck and you save $300 a week, you've already paid tax on that money.
It's post-tax income, yep.
Yeah.
And so advantages, disadvantages, we could get into the weeds on some of those. Just want to understand that what we're talking about is if you have a retirement account, or you should have a retirement account, we can go into those. You have an option of using a self-directed retirement account to go invest in real estate or invest in specific investments. You can have a relationship with the custodian, and that custodian can go invest on your behalf. And so the challenge I have when I'm learning new topics sometimes is how do I keep it like universal rules and not get lost in the details of like the word problem, right? Like we're back in math class, like just universal rules. We're going to take it as a given. I've got a retirement account. We can have a separate conversation, so we don't lose everyone. And I think some people in the room, we have vast differences in experience. There's people that are experts on this and totally understand 401ks and IRAs, and people that are brand new and haven't funded anything, into, hey, so I have this retirement account. Who came here and they want to learn what they could do with their retirement account? Yeah, so I think we'll dive into that. Cory's got some more questions. I hope that had some clarity.
One of my last questions actually was just what are some common mistakes that you see investors making?
Well, the prohibited transactions would be one. Right now I'm considering an investment with my self-directed, but I really feel like I want to have my hands in it a little bit more. And so that would not be a good candidate for a self-directed IRA. And anytime you make any investment, you have to do due diligence and figure out, is this going to meet my goals? So determine what your goals are with your IRA, what your investment strategy is before you just start buying assets.
I had a good conversation with Nathan before I came in here. And one of the things we were talking about is just how should I use my self-directed IRA? And I think that one of them, he said, like, from a perspective, it's retirement income. it's not active income, and that one of the easiest ways, and I'm curious to hear your perspective, is to start with lending. Like, you could lend other investors money from your self-directed IRA, and that's a great way to get started. I'm curious to hear your perspective on that.
I am all about it.
Okay.
I love it. I actually have some loans out right now with my IRA, and I like to work with other investors who need funds for their flips, and a lot of times it's short-term lending. I personally don't want to do long-term lending. Thank you.
Yeah.
At this time, I'd rather keep my money churning
Yep.
and get a higher return on it than the longer term.
Did Stephen Grindle leave? Of course he did. Okay, well, so Stephen, I wish he's here. Stephen got started in private money lending because I talked him into funding a rehab. I had a client. This client had already left town. This client had to sell his property. It was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I've known him for years. I was gonna rehabilitate the property on his behalf. So Stephen funded it all out of his self-directed IRA. He had a checkbook IRA. He just wrote checks directly out of the IRA and got a 10% return on his money in 3.5 months. Pretty straightforward transaction, right? Since I controlled the listing, I controlled the risk. He just got paid directly from the ALTA, from the settlement statement at closing, as a vendor, right? They wrote him a check. So that's a very simple way. If you see someone in here that has a deal, you could be funding that from your IRA, and the proceeds just going back into your account.
Would you like to make $5,000 on $50,000 in a month?
I would. Yeah.
Totally possible with private money lending out of your IRA.
Yeah.
No taxes on that, and it just keeps building. So now you have $55,000 to lend next time.
Who's got a project in here that they'd like some additional capital? Will, Lance, what's your name? Rob in the back has some. Laura's got some, right? I imagine other folks do. Cory, you got some projects you could use. I know you saw another one. Didn't you just find another that you're going to go to contract on?
I'm waiting on an answer
Okay.
tomorrow from that.
It's like you've been on an offer writing rip since I know. I feel like Amelia gives you like windows and you just go all out, and then she's like, all right, good. Well, who's got some questions? So I think that was the biggest one, and then I'll ask a tax question at the end. So Will, come on up here so we can get you on camera here. Smile for the camera and ask your question.
I guess, what is the closest that a person can be to you? I see all these bubbles. Could my wife's dad do it? Is that considered a parent to me now?
Where is the bubble?
There.
I think in-laws are fine.
Okay. How
So-
about so like brother-in-law too? Or
Your brother actually can. Now, how much do you trust your brother to do your stuff?
potentially.
That's the question.
And then aunts and uncles, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, it's lineal.
I love it. I saw
Up and
one
down.
hand there, and I'll come to you, Eric. Who else had their hand up here for? Zach, come on up here, man. What's your question? So,
My question is any expenses incurred while operating the property, does that have to come out of your IRA as well?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. You are hands off.
got it. I love it. Eric, you had a question for us. Great. Yep. Yes, please.
So just general comment to put it out there for clarification, because this actually could help a lot of people, especially if they're younger. Are they still allowing for conversions from a taxable IRA to a Roth?
Yes, you can do a Roth conversion.
Okay. Reason I'm asking that is that's something that I had done further down the road and made a huge difference because COVID stunk. And I was in a situation where I'm like, okay, if I'm going to have no income and I have no choice over this, I'm literally going to be reporting like microscopic
Yeah.
amount of income. This is a really good window to take a lot of stuff that's a taxable IRA and flip it, because then that becomes my income. But who
Yeah.
cares? Because the income
Yeah.
was already so low.
So what he's saying is, if you have just a regular IRA, a regular 401k that you want to put to use, you can convert it to a Roth, and then put it in the self-directed. If you do that, you have to pay taxes on that conversion because you're going from tax deferred to a non-tax deferred. Or did I say that right? Opposite, tax deferred. Yeah. But you don't have to do that. And actually, I looked at this for myself because there's lots of tools and tables that you can use on the internet to see, if I do a Roth conversion right now and I'm going to retire in X number of years, does that make sense for me? Am I going to be able to make it up, the taxes I pay versus what I'm going to earn? So that's a calculation and a model you can do for yourself to see if it works for you.
Yeah. Who wants to know, Rob, can you tell us what you're getting 35 to 40% returns on?
I did not say 40.
Okay.
I said 34%, and I just double-checked my math to make sure I wasn't a liar. A friend, a really savvy investor, recommended a book a couple years ago called The Simple Path to Wealth, and it made total sense to me that, kind of like to your point, if you believe in the market and you believe that it's always skewed up, that the brightest, most innovative companies that go public will replace the ones that go bankrupt, that over any given time, there's going to be ups and downs throughout the day or the week or the month, but given a segment of time, the market is always skewed up, then buy the whole market. Don't worry about a financial investor because they're going to churn or they're going to talk over your head and make it seem complicated. Just kind of set it and forget it. And so there's two stocks. And so I just checked. VTSAX is Vanguard Total Stock Market Index. And then there's one. Yeah, and there's one called SWTSX. It's Schwab's version, Schwab Total Market Index. And if you Google those right now and you look at the 1 year performance, it's at like 32, 33%. So I don't stress. I fired my financial advisor. He would constantly talk over my head. And I was like, dude, you don't know what I do. I don't need to know everything that you do. But it was like he was doing it on purpose to make it seem complicated. And I thought he was a friend, whatever. But now I just set it and forget it. And I know that, there's going to be good days. I don't even look anymore. Like I might look once every couple of weeks to see how the market's doing. And it's just steadily been, on a tear. Is it always going to be in a tear? Surely not. And so this book also said, expect at least one point in your life to have your earnings cut in half. But don't panic. Stay the course, and it will build back up. And so, yeah, those two stocks they're index funds. And so they own a piece of every stock on the index. And so as a whole, the market, is going to go up.
Are those ETFs?
No, neither one. I think that they have an ETF version. I think one has no load whatsoever, and the other one is super minimal. Yeah.
Can you just say them one more time?
Yeah, one. Yeah. One is V as in Victor, VTSAX. That's Vanguard's version. And then the other one is Schwab's version. I think it's SWTSX, Schwab Total Stock Market Index.
SWTSX. We'll put those in the email that goes out afterwards. I saw Laura, come around, and I'll get you on camera and ask a question. Yeah, come around. So, yep.
While she's coming up, I would like to talk about the custodians that are out there. So your major custodians like Charles Schwab, Edward Jones, I'm not trying to hit on them. They're good providers, but they don't offer self-directed IRAs. They just don't. So there's some custodian called Madison Trust. There's Equity Trust. There's Quest, Inspira. So you can look up self-directed IRA custodians and you'll find them on there. And they give really great education, and they have webinars and videos that help you understand, and their representatives are very helpful. And if you have an IRA and you're wondering if your brother should be doing jobs on it, or if you don't know if that's a prohibited transaction, you can call your custodian once you have the account going, and talk to them, and they'll help you through it. So you're not on your own.
Yeah, love that. So, Laura.
Well, I didn't mean for this to be a big thing. I was just going to piggyback on what he was saying and then also turn it into a question. I also am seeing very good returns on, I've got a Roth IRA, a traditional IRA, a 401k, and a personal investment account, which are up anywhere from 50% year over year to like 200% for some strategic buying. During a COVID crash, all of that I just bought in those dips and kept buying the dips. But what's scary about that is none of it's real until you cash it in. So like you said, you have to be prepared, especially if you're making riskier investments. It's all numbers on a screen, whereas what brought me to investing in real estate was tangible assets. I can go live in a house I own. I can't live in my stock market account. So to turn that into a question, what can you mix stock investments and real estate assets in a self-directed IRA?
I haven't seen the providers giving options for stock in the self-directed, but you could probably do that, I would think.
Okay.
Good question. Who's a stock investor in here? Yeah, Flint. Maybe. I don't know what you're going to say. So, come on up. Yeah, come on up. If you want to talk, there's a camera. You're coming up front. I love it. Oh,
I've woken up. I was a little
here we go.
So I've been fortunate enough to be investing in the stock market since I was 16. I'm 45, and I sit on the investment committee of a fund that runs a little over $1 billion. What's the gentleman's name that was talking? Is that Rob? Yeah. So Rob said a lot of things that are quite accurate, but I just want to say the following. If you look back over 100 years, the average returns, if you were invested in index funds, which, by the way, for 99% of the people on the planet is the best way to do it, the average return over the last 100 years is not 10%, which is what many of you likely have heard. It's actually more like 8%, 7.5% to 8% when you adjust for taxes and other fees. So, last year, S&P index fund return, I think 23%. This year, it's about 34%. Historically, very high numbers, but I don't want you all to run out and invest in the stock market, even if it isn't an index fund, and think you're going to get, that type of return. It's not realistic. One of the other things that you said that's probably the most important thing, if any of you are investing in the market or are thinking about investing in the market, is do not try to time the market. Just leave your money in the index fund and do not think about it, and leave it in there as long as you possibly can. The power of compounding is incredibly powerful. Warren Buffett will tell you, I actually got to sit with this guy named Byron Trott in Atlanta last week, who was the number 2 person at Goldman Sachs, and he is very good friends with Warren Buffett, actually manages part of his money for him. And Byron said, his greatest skill has been essentially getting in and out of the market. I just said don't time it. Warren will get out of the market when he thinks a big dip is going to happen, because yes, he's made his money through compounding, but he's really made his money buying when everyone else was selling. So, what I would tell you is market's at an all-time high. Maybe don't go rush out and invest in the market right now. Be patient. And, if you see a correction, it's a great time to go in, do an index fund, and then leave it for as long as you can. Sorry, I just wanted to tell you all that.
And Flint, maybe I know the answer.
Investment advisor.
So, if you haven't read The Psychology of Money, I highly, highly recommend it. It's definitely the best book that I've read on investing in at least 5 years. Just really, really sharp. And one of the things it talks about, if we're talking about the stock market, is if you're out of the market, if you mix like the 6 best days in the market, there goes the majority of your gains. Like you really have to be in this long term. You know, both the real estate market and the stock market have not been down. There's over a 9-year period. Is that right, Cory? Over a 9-year consecutive period. So it's buying and holding. The challenge is if you're trying to retire in 2008 and you lost half of your portfolio, right, because your pension invested in some garbage mortgage-backed securities that were cooked up by Goldman Sachs, right, on a bunch of fraudulent loans that they were then shorting, like me telling you that long perspective doesn't really help. Like that is when like the timing kind of sucks, right? The time becomes relevant. So, Cindy, what did we miss when we were presenting? Did we make some mistakes? Did we cover anything we didn't get? I know you looked at the slides before you presented.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say,
Please,
to
go ahead.
on that, that using your IRA for real estate is a good diversification strategy. It's always good to have your money in different pockets, so to speak. As the older you get, you typically don't want to have the higher risk stock market. Like if you're retiring and the stock goes down, you're like, that's not good. Let's see.
Well, I'll share to that point and Laura did bring up a good point. Like investing is not risk free, and you can. However, like real estate doesn't go to zero, right? Enron, companies explode potentially. Like it can go to zero. Real estate is a tangible asset that has durable value, even if it's the land value, right? And so if you're invested long term, we believe in real estate because we understand the market, and outside of like some gigantic pitfalls, we believe it's very hard to lose money investing in real estate long term. If we're talking a 20, 30-year time frame, it's difficult to do so. Challenging short term sometimes, like being a cash flowing landlord is not, you don't always see that cash flow. That's true. Yes.
So think about too, if you have, let's say you have a duplex in your IRA and you've had it in there for 10 years and you sell it and you have a $200,000 gain. You're not paying taxes on that. How much wealth have you built for that? It's a great tool. We do need to talk about the tax.
Yeah, that's great. That cues me up because the one question I did have, the big pitfall is unrelated business income tax.
So that unrelated business income tax is assessed on your IRA if you have ordinary income. And again, we have the same rules. So ordinary income for a real estate investor is if you're doing fix and flips, that's ordinary income.
Now, if I get interest on money I've lent out, is that ordinary income?
No, that's passive
So
income.
private lending, passive income.
Yeah.
If I'm receiving rental income from an asset, is that ordinary income?
That's passive income.
Okay, great.
So if you are fix and flipping in your IRA, your profit is going to be, you have to pay a tax on that profit, okay? And the taxes are based on the trust tables in the IRS posts, the tax tables for the trust. And so the rates are kind of high. They're about they could be in the 30s. Okay, but if you have the opportunity to do a flip, and your only source of capital is your IRA, and you do the flip, you sell it for $100,000, and you have to pay $37,000 in tax. At the end of the day, are you okay with that? Okay. You still get $60,000. When if you didn't do the flip, you would have zero. So just know
I like
that
what
it's
you said
there.
earlier. Don't let your tax avoidance strategy prevent you from making money. Like sometimes pay the taxes and make the money, because
Yep.
if you have this IRA that's earning nothing, you're not doing anything with it, that's deprecated, maybe I should be employing it in a way that generates ordinary income, right? Don't be afraid to pay taxes if you're making money. It's not the worst thing in the world, right? Nathan had a question about a duplex.
Yeah, so you brought up the duplex, moving that into the IRA, kind of jogged a personal question, which is, we got a duplex earlier this year. First question is, can you just move that into this IRA anytime?
No.
Okay. So when can you do it? At the
when
time
you-
of purchase?
At the time of purchase.
Okay,
Yeah, because you can't buy from your IRA, you can't sell to your IRA.
okay,
And you don't want to go around the block and quit claim it and give it to somebody else, and then don't do that either. Just when you buy it in your IRA.
all right. Second question about that, if you do buy it at the time and move it in there, does it matter who the renters are inside that duplex if, for instance, they're family members?
It can be your brother or your cousin, any of those qualified people, but it can't be your mother, your grandfather, your son, your wife.
Great,
you.
thank you.
The word you used before that made sense was lineal, right?
Lineal, yeah.
Your lineal descendants, or Cory, the lineal champion, if you're a wrestling or a boxing fan, right?
So let me tell you what happens if you do a prohibited transaction. If you're found to do a prohibited transaction in your IRA, which is if your son is living in your 16-unit apartment building and mowing the yard, and you get found out, then you lose the tax-deferred status for that account, going back to January 1st of that year. So it all becomes taxable.
Yeah, I think I saw, did you have a question, Elijah? Come on up, brother. You going too? Come on up, Phil. So. Yeah, if you got a question, just come up over here. We'll get you.
So this could be a silly question, but what if you're buying and selling to the IRA with an entity and not your name?
Can you give an example?
Like an LLC. Like what if an LLC owns the duplex?
If Justin has an LLC, we're not, I always get the words wrong, we're not disqualified people to each other. So Justin and I can sell back and forth.
Okay.
But you can't, if you own a construction company, for example, and then you buy a house in your IRA, your construction company can't do work in your IRA.
Okay.
So you got to watch things that you have over 50% ownership can't transact.
So
with
there's
your
really
IRA.
no loopholes?
No.
Okay. All right.
So Phil had a good question, and I think we talked about this, but maybe not directly. So about if you've got, how can I commingle? Like, how can I invest alongside my IRA?
Right. So basically, let's say you have 100K in self-directed IRA. If I have another 100K in my bank, which is just conventional money that I, deposit, can I just combine it, like 200K to buy a property?
No. I have really simple answers for a lot of questions. No, you can't.
And on that point that the person was saying, like for example, so let's say if I have an LLC and that LLC has multiple person, that LLC has me and some other investors, can I lend the money to that LLC?
I think that would have to do with how much ownership percentage you had. But so you would have to talk to your IRA custodian and look at the rules on that. That could be a little dicey though.
Okay, cool.
Again, right? I love it because we're investors. We're always, okay, what about, like, how can I get around the rule? But the rule is arm's length transaction. I cannot buy or sell in this. Like, basically, for a frame of reference from talking to really great investors that invest at large scale, they say the amazing deals they buy in their IRA. The ones where they can't believe it's that good, they're never going to sell that thing. That's what they're buying in their IRA in terms of just outright buying assets. And then they are using the IRA for other things like investing proportionally or things like that. Does that answer your question, Phil? Awesome. Awesome. Cool.
So one thing you can do in your IRA is you can partner with others with their IRAs. So if Cory has 100,000 in his and I have 100,000 in mine, we can buy something together.
Yes.
And we can hold it together, or we can fix and flip it, or we could, do whatever. we can partner. Or if I have an HSA, a Coverdale, a Roth, a regular IRA, I can combine all them together and buy something.
So an HSA is a health savings account. I don't know what a Coverdale is.
It's an education savings
Yeah.
account.
Yeah, there's a reason why I'm an investor, right? I got to make a lot of capital because I made interesting choices when I was younger, which is why I'm so fun to talk to. All right.
So, revisiting from about 5 minutes ago, you said if you have a property, duplex, whatever, that's been in the account and that you've had for several years and you go to sell it, you make $100K, $200,000, whatever, off the duplex. Part of the exciting part about that is not taxable income. Is that still true if the funds that you put into the self-directed IRA, 100% of them the whole time come from a traditional IRA? Not a Roth, a traditional IRA.
So if you have a traditional IRA that is in a self-directed account, then you buy a building, you hold it, you rent it for however long, and you have a $200,000 gain. When that gain happens, that money just goes in the account, and you don't pay tax on that. When you pay tax is when you take it out.
Yeah, but you're still gonna have to pay tax on it.
You have to pay tax when you have your normal distributions.
If it's from a traditional IRA and that's the source of the money, you have to pay taxes. If it's from a Roth IRA and that's the source of the money, you don't.
Yes, if same scenario, if that building was in a Roth and you sold it and you had a $200,000 gain, when you start taking distributions from your Roth, you don't have to pay taxes.
So it's the tax status of the source of the money coming
Yes.
into the account. It has nothing to do with being self-directed.
Yes, that's correct. And you can partner, if you have a regular IRA and a Roth, and you can partner them together to buy a building too.
So to go back, right? Again, the self-directed portion of this, like we covered before, right? You have individual retirement accounts. There are lots of people that are not Cory and I that can give you advice on lots. There's probably people in the room. We got some wealth advisors in the room that would, yeah, there we go. Just right there, that can help you with 401ks or IRAs, et cetera. We're talking about the self-directed portion of this, of like me being able to use that money to deploy in assets where I think I'm going to beat the returns I can get in the market. Can I get a better return than a 7 or 8% return? I just told you, the APR that Steven got on 4 months of money making 10% in 4 months is a lot higher than 8, right? That's more like a 20-something% return. So, last question, Tom.
Actually, I didn't really have a question. I'm sorry, but like as a multifamily syndicator, you guys are talking about a lot of really hands-on stuff because that's what most of you do, right? And making sure you don't break the rules. But one possibility, especially for people who are interested in getting into multifamily, is investing as a limited partner in a syndication. And then you're totally passive. There's no concerns about what you're doing. So if you have an IRA, typically you're going to need at least $25,000, $50,000 or $100,000 to invest in one of those. But if you have a rollover, you can roll that over to self-directed IRA, invest as a limited partner in a deal that you like, and you don't have any worries about any of that stuff.
I agree.
Now, there are potentially some tax consequences, I believe, on that, but it is an option.
Sure. So you've got some, and we can talk about those strategies. The most important takeaway that we want to have for you today is just, if you have a retirement account and you're sitting here waiting, like, I want to get into investing and capital is an issue, like you're sitting on something where you could be investing tomorrow, and some very straightforward deals that you understand intuitively. Like, I did not know how to do investment math because I worked for people. I never saw any of that. If we had to run a spreadsheet, the deal did not make sense. Seriously, I'm talking like a decade into the game. It was working with people where it was like, all right, cool. We should make like 100, maybe we'll make 60. Let's go do it. Like all day long. This was back when, you used to be able to get real income on short-term rentals here. We weren't like, oh, it'll work if you self-manage. That was not the case. We were putting them on the vacation rental program to pay for it, like selling them as second homes, and you were getting $60K in income for $300, $400K. Yeah, like it's just a very different time. So, Cory, some final words for us. Cindy, want to thank Cindy for her time today.
Yeah.
So, if you signed in today, Cindy's got your contact info. If you're curious about this, Cindy and her partner Brenda Price teach this. They teach how to invest in notes for free. That's why I wanted to point into them. They're a great resource if you want to get into this asset. Cindy is a CPA that worked for years for a financial institution that recently retired, has a passion for education, right? And then, you can also, I think there's some more intensive training if you want to like partner with Cindy as well. So thank you for being here, Cindy. We appreciate you.
Inviting me.
Awesome. We're going to go do a dog and pony show and give away some stuff real fast if you want to step down. Travis, check the Instagram. Who went on there? We got some giveaways really fast. We'll wrap this thing up, and then we can all network, hang out. No yawning. You're too young to be yawning. All right. I love it. So, Cory, what's coming up?
Yeah. So just to kind of touch on a couple events we've got coming up here. So coming up on Friday, November 15th, we'll be having our morning grid events that we do. That's our coffee, donuts, and networking event that's coming up on Friday, November 15th. We'll be here. Doors will actually open at 8:30. So it'll be 8:30 to 10 a.m. that we'll be here on Friday, November 15th. And then we'll put on the lunch.
Yep. And then we've got a lunch event. Anybody curious what's going on with the multi-use stadium in town? Well, cool. Everyone else that's
Wonderful.
not here, you should pay attention at home because like 5 people in here care about this. We are going to have Mo Abbas. Mo Abbas is running the project for Denart Construction. We're going to do a lunch. So I'm going to poll the room really fast. Of the 5 people that are coming to the room, would you rather us do a free event like at the Cedar Bluff Holiday Inn out west, or would you rather us go to Barley's and just pay for lunch, like a $15 lunch?
Catered lunch.
So who's a Barley's fan, and who wants to go out to Cedar Bluff for free? All right,
Barley's
so cool.
it is. Done.
The 4 of you,
Yep.
RSVP. We got only 40 people in the room. It's going to be limited. And I want to put that out there because we had how many people do we have come to hear the Barack talk from D.R. Horton?
Oh, man, 40? Easy?
No, Nathan's more. I had to be 50,
50?
60. Yeah,
Yeah, it
Nance
was
is saying
packed.
50, 60. So that will be at capacity. We'll send that link out to RSVP for that. We're going to do that. And the reason we want to do it at Barley's is because you can see the stadium. If
Right
you haven't
there.
been there, the stadium is right across the interstate from Barley's. And it's going to be, the development that we're having here is going to be surprising. If you haven't been paying attention, I know we feel like we're on this upward trajectory and it feels like it's got to come down. But tell that to the people that are spending money here, right? Because there's massive institutional investment happening in Knoxville, massive institutional investment happening. So, real fast, quick giveaways, Cory. Who thinks they came from the farthest away? I think I know the winner. Carl, I think you're the winner. Where are you from in Cali? Northern California. Anybody come from, last time we had somebody come from, the first one we did, someone came from Italy, and they crushed someone that had come from across the country. It was great. Did anybody coming from outside the country, anybody farther away than California? No? All right, we got a fabulous prize for you, Carl. We're going to send you home with some beautiful, I know. Who's brand new here? Who's new? Who's the youngest new person that we have in the room? Brandon, how old are you? 20. Anybody younger than 20? How old are you, Junior? 18. All right. Heard you out. So, Junior is a wholesale. Glad you're in the room. Junior's got some land deals. If anybody's looking for you got some more land for us? Yeah. Okay. Junior, he sent me some before. Don't be shy. You were texting me land deals. You got some land deals. Awesome. And who are our social media winners?
Will Ring, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Junior.
Yep. Junior can't win twice. I love it.
Here, I'll pull it up.
So we got Will. Will's a winner.
Dawn's a winner. Carolyn?
Oh, and
Thanks much. Appreciate
Carolyn's
the
a
love.
winner. Thank
Absolutely.
you for shouting us out.
Cool. We'll get you taken care of here at the back.
Don't discount social media. I just went to this conference. I'm an EXP agent. That's just a brokerage. So I'm at this conference and they're rolling out an investing platform for everybody. And the guy that is running this thing that has 20 businesses is telling us how the biggest lead generation thing for him is social media. Unpaid social media is where he's still driving the majority of his business. And this is a guy now, right, who's got the capacity, who's earning millions. So he could be running direct mail. He could be running TV ads, radio ads, right? Like unpaid social media is still like the biggest ROI. I see you nodding. I know Master Services spends a bunch of money on that stuff, PJ, right? Little bit. Yeah, right. You guys are investing in legacy media. So hijack it. Like that's my advice. That's my advice to y'all, because I've seen what it's done for our business. I've seen what it's done for Cory. Yeah. Last thing.
Last event.
Ooh.
Holiday party.
Who's been to our holiday party before? Say yes.
Say yes.
Say yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Cool.
Beautiful. I know it's hot in here. They cut the AC off. I don't know why. I'm ready to get off the stage too. It's hotter up here. And we are throwing a party, and we're going to raise some money for charity.
That's right. So, yep, next month is going to be the first Wednesday of the month. We're going to be at Crafty Bastard West Brewery. That's here off of Kingston Pike, and Pellissippi is going to be the nearest intersection.
Right by
there.
Calhoun's.
Right by Calhoun's, right across the street.
If you know the Calhoun's out west. So very close to here. What's
That's
that?
right.
Same place as last year. Come on out. We're going to raise some money. Going to make some donations for Second Harvest. This is right around double your donation day. So that means that you typically, for every dollar that we raise, we're going to feed 6 meals. So this is my favorite thing we do all year, right? We make a tremendous impact in the community. We're going to talk a little bit, have some predictions for the market, and we're just going to network. We're just going to have a great time. We'll put on a good spread, open bar. Please come out, invite your friends.
See ya.
Yeah. Thank you all for coming
Thanks,
out
y'all.
today. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate y'all.